Hello, everyone. We're going to give people a minute or two to log in here. Welcome. You're in the right place for the Budgeting for the Holidays webinar. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. This is the Budgeting for the Holidays webinar with the Harvard Federal Credit Union. And this, obviously, time of year, we're kind of leaning toward the winter holidays, but this presentation can apply to whenever your significant holiday celebrations take place for your family. You just might need to sort of adjust the calendar for that. If you have other holidays that are particularly big gift-giving holidays or holidays with significant like big meals that you're preparing. So you know best your traditions and your needs, and you can adapt it as makes sense for you and your family. I am joined here by Kimberly Smith from the MGB Employee Assistance Program. This webinar is in collaboration with the EAP. And Kimberly, do you want to say a little bit about your offerings, please?
Sure. Thanks, Jen. Thanks to the Harvard Federal Credit Union for partnering with us. Always happy to give these webinars to all of our employees. So as the slide in front of you shows, you can use that QR code to scan and bring yourself right to our website where you can actually schedule an appointment to talk to one of our EAP consultants about any of the things you see on here, anything related to workplace, family and life, or maybe your personal well-being. We are a free and confidential support for you folks. So we are not connected at all to HR, occupational health, or the Epic record keeping system. So we truly are confidential. We want to help support you. And if you have any questions about any of our programs or services, please just feel free to give us a call. We'd be happy to answer any of those questions. So enjoy the webinar, and thanks again, Jen.
Thank you, Kim. And enjoy your holidays as well. So just to let you know about me, my name is Jen Fries. I am the Community Engagement Manager for the Harvard Federal Credit Union. And our community engagement team is 3 people. We also have Ty and Terrence, and you might see any of us at any of these presentations, often one in the background, one in the forefront. Helping to run these presentations. And we do financial wellness education throughout the community, both in person and webinars. And this is part of that we offer to any of the teaching hospitals that are eligible for membership, and really delighted to be here today. I've been at the credit union for about a year, so I'm still fairly new. Just for you to know some housekeeping details, this is webinar format. It means that we have disabled the chat, and the way for you to ask questions is to go into the Q&A feature of Zoom. Sometimes it doesn't show up on the main toolbar, and you have to click on the more sign on the toolbar on the far right. So the same place where normally you'd be muting yourself or that kind of thing. You can go into more and Q&A, and you can pop any questions into the Q&A at any time during this presentation. If you want to go into the Q&A now and drop a question, which is where you're joining us from, we'd love to see that. Or if there's anything particular you'd like us to cover, you can put that into the Q&A right now. We cannot see you, we cannot hear you. So go ahead and eat your lunch, do what you need to do. Don't worry about background noise. You're muted. The only way that we can hear from you is through that Q&A feature, and we would love to. Great, we see that we're joined by someone from MGB in Westwood. Thank you for coming, and thank you for letting us know that you're here and practicing using the Q&A. This presentation is being recorded. You will get the recording afterwards, so you would be able to rewatch it or review what's covered if you like. And we will also send you a survey after the presentation, and we would love to hear any feedback that you have for us about this or any webinar. We do read all that feedback and we use it to, get better. Will help over time. So just a little bit about the credit union for those of you who don't know. I know some of you joining are already credit union members, and welcome. Um, you are, by virtue of working for MGB, you are eligible to join the credit union. And we are Harvard's not-for-profit banking financial institution. So we're like a bank. A credit union is like a bank, but it is owned by our members. So normally a bank is owned by shareholders. They have to make a profit for those shareholders. Our credit union is owned by our members together. And so any profits are reinvested back in the form of lower fees or higher interest rates, and also community wellness efforts such as this. If you do choose to join the credit union, your membership extends to all of your family members, but you don't have to join the credit union. You might just come to these financial presentations. That's fine. I'm going to also let you know about some other services that are available to you, whether or not you choose to join the credit union, that might be helpful to you in your financial journey. If you do join the credit union, we do offer free access to all ATMs nationwide, meaning if they charge you a fee, that we will refund that fee to you. We also have a variety of other, all the services a bank might have. You can get checking, savings, credit card, mortgage, student loan, etc., auto loan. Um, so, and then of course, you can walk into our branches. We do have a branch in Longwood. We have a branch at MGH. And then we also have a branch in Harvard Square, which is sort of our original branch, and a couple satellites, but you can do online banking. And we also have a thing called shared branching. If you end up moving, once you're a member for life, you can always reactivate it at any time or keep it open. If you end up moving somewhere else around the country, we do have this network of shared branches with other co-ops and credit unions. So you can walk in and do your banking there. So that's a nice little bonus. As far as what we're going to cover today, it's sort of 4 parts. So preparing for the holidays, and then particularly your finances around the holidays, we're going to cover, how to start preparing now, how to spend wisely, some suggestions about that, ways to create lasting memories, and maybe some that are low cost, and things that you can think about, and how to get ahead and plan for next year sooner rather than later. So to go into the first of those, we're going to talk about how do you start preparing now. So in a perfect world, the best time to start planning and saving for the holiday season is the day after the holiday season ends. But at this point, we don't have that option now. And I know I am a person that sometimes, procrastinates on things around the holidays or whatever. So I'm definitely in the position now of still, okay, sitting down to do my planning now. So what does that look like? And also at the end, we will talk about like how you can set yourself up for success for next year as well. So the first step for financially for your holidays and making sure that you have what you need is to create what we call a holiday spending plan. So you're going to start by figuring out how much money do you have to work with. You may have some money set aside in savings now. Um, if not, you can look at your monthly budget or kind of what you're typically spending and see if you have any wiggle room. Maybe over the next few pay periods, you could cut back on something else in order to have some money for these extra expenses that we all end up incurring over the holidays. We need to be honest with ourselves and realistic. Because you don't want to do something where you get in over your head financially. So it is definitely good to take a moment to think about what is your budget and how it's going to be impacted by things like extra groceries that you might need to buy or gas if you're going to be traveling by car. So once you know how much you think you can spend, say you look at your budget and you think, well, there's maybe, um, 500 extra dollars that I can spend because normally I spend this amount on babysitting, but my parents are going to be in town. And, maybe I can cut back on a few other things, or normally I'd be putting money into savings, but instead I'm going to put it toward the holidays. So you kind of, think about what you have. Um, then you think about what are the extra expenses you're going to have and try to start to flesh out what those are going to look like. Will you be buying gifts and for whom? Um, and start to really have a list because where you tend to go over is if you just don't know who you're buying for, you haven't thought about it. Will you be attending holiday parties or special meals? Um, or or hosting special meals? Will you be traveling? Are you going to be spending money on decorations or other activities that are associated with the holidays for you? So try and list out everything and get a rough estimate of how much each category will cost. If you are hearing all this and you're saying, Jen, I do not have any room in my budget, there is no wiggle room right now. Maybe I still have to pay that full amount for daycare no matter what, and it's really taxing us. So I know different seasons in life, things are different. So if you don't have room in your budget, there are community resources that might help you to bridge that gap. And we're going to talk a little bit about those later. Especially for those of you with young children, or children at all, there are a bunch of resources in the community, both here in Massachusetts, or if you're joining us from further away, there are other community funds in every place in the United States that can help with buying gifts for the holidays. So we're going to talk a little bit about that later. And they're often things like Toys for Tots, local religious or charity groups, adopt a family programs, and there may be things also through your child's school or through your city specifically. There also are a lot of food assistance programs, especially around the holidays. A lot of organizations give out like turkey and the trimmings for holiday meals. It is good to get on those lists early. So we're going to be sharing those resources with you. Um, and then as a side note, if you're in the situation where you're going to have some extra money to give away and you don't need assistance, consider donating to or volunteering with one of these organizations that we're going to be talking about. It's a great way to kind of spread the joy and help meet the needs within your community during this time. So going a little more into start preparing now and some of these community resources. I know at the credit union right now, we are collecting for Toys for Tots, and that is a nationwide program run by the United States Marines that collects toys for children and gives them out to families that might need it or children who might be in foster care and lots of other children in need. So you can connect with Toys for Tots. You may want to be in touch with your local temple, church, other religious or charity groups. You may know of an Adopt a Family program. Oh, I meant to say on Toys for Tots, if you want to buy a toy for a kid, we have drop-off boxes at MGH, at the Longwood branch of the credit union, and in Harvard Square. So we're going to be taking donations through December 18th because then we have to get them to the distribution point and get them out to the families. So if you want to buy a toy, we would love that and would welcome your contribution to help families in the area. Some of the organizations we work with on food include Food for Free, um, the Greater Boston Food Bank, and the Margaret Fuller Neighborhood House. They all offer help with holiday meals. and with general help. So you can be in touch with us or email me. I'm going to give you my info if you want any more details about connecting. I didn't mention it, but also in Boston and Massachusetts specifically, there's the Globe Santa program, which is another one that you can get on the list. So other things about preparing now, things to just keep in mind when you're setting your budget. Sometimes when you're flying at during the holidays, you can end up having travel interruptions, whether because of weather or overbooking or things like that. So you kind of need to budget in, especially if you're going to be flying or taking a train, the possibility that there could be a need for a hotel or some other. One year, I was flying back from someone. I was determined to be home for a holiday with my kid. Um, and there was a snowstorm and Boston was completely blocked out, but I got them to fly me to I want to say Manchester, New Hampshire. I flew to New Hampshire somewhere, but then we had to budget for gas to get me home. You know, my boyfriend came and picked me up, and I could have been in a hotel room too, depending on what time I was getting in. So things like that can happen, just in case things don't go as planned. And another expecting the unexpected thing would be, having a little gift on hand for that time when someone hands you a gift and you weren't expecting it. So whether it's like a fancy pound of coffee or a candle or just something with a bow on it ready to go, a little box of chocolates, can help you avoid a situation where you feel like you slighted somebody. So now you've sat down, you've taken the time, maybe an hour to kind of do your plan. So then let's think about, okay, you've decided you're going to spend a certain amount of money, maybe it's $500 over the holidays. Let's think about how you can make sure you spend that wisely. So, sorry. Um, So spending for the holidays isn't that different from spending any other time, except that you are under some time constraints. So it's great if you can do some research first for things that you might want to buy as much as possible. You're going to want to shop early for things. Um, like much better to be shopping now. They will jack the prices up the closer it gets to Christmas, Hanukkah, New Year's. This year, Hanukkah and Christmas, you may know, are at the same time, which is not every year. So that's something that, don't wait until the last minute to buy your gifts. You will pay more for them at that point. And same thing with if you, particularly if you have a freezer, you may be able to buy food now, buy things that are a little bit cheaper and put them in the, maybe there's stuff that's marked down from Thanksgiving and you can put it in the, if you have freezer space, you can put it in there for Christmas. Um, so the other thing you just want to keep in mind is making sure that okay, you had that plan about how much you're going to spend. How do you make sure you stick to it? So it can, I know personally, there have been times when I just feel like, oh, I don't know what to get for this person. And I end up spending a lot more than I planned to because I feel like, oh, I didn't take the time to really think through what I was getting. And, if it's occasionally or a small amount that happens, that's fine. But if you find yourself doing that year after year, or in particular, if you find yourself going into debt, um, putting a lot of things on credit cards and having to dig out after the holidays, we definitely want to get to the point where you know exactly what you're spending and you stick to it. And you're realistic about it. Like, don't try and short yourself if maybe you do need $600, not 500. But knowing and being able to then plan for it next year would be really important. One way some people make sure that they stick to their budget is to use a cash method. So say you decided you're going to spend $500 this holiday season, 100's for extra groceries and 400's for gifts. You take out the money that you plan to spend, you put it in an envelope as cash, and you have some, you know, one envelope would be for food and one envelope would be for gifts. And when it's gone, it's gone. And that can be a way to make sure that you don't go over, that you're not just whipping out your credit card. You can also physically remove your credit card or debit card from your wallet when you go holiday shopping and just bring the cash with you. That's going to force you to stick more to the plan. Um, and we do encourage you to think about giving gift cards. I know it can seem a little impersonal, but you can give a cute card to go with it or that kind of thing. I know that, particularly as kids get older, um, things like gift cards can be really nice if you make sure it's for something that, you know, a store that they like to go to. It's a nice way for to you to remember maybe a niece or a nephew or someone like that at the holidays, and not have it be that you bought something that they already had, or particularly if they're people that, like, I know my niece and nephew live across the country, and over the years, we've sort of just switched to me. I do give them cash. I Venmo them for big holidays, and I know that they need it and that they will use it. And it is still a moment of connection for us where they, you know, will text back and forth when they get the money, and they'll tell me and thank me and maybe tell me what they're going to do with it. And we have a little chance to catch up that way because we don't see each other as much as we would like. So it's okay to just do that. And that can still be a way to connect. It doesn't always have to be a big item that is wrapped. And let's see. So you may have in the past created some expectations about like big gifts for certain places. You can always just kind of signal to people now, like making it kind of a reset year, like, oh, this year we're going to try and um, you know, give smaller amounts, but spend a lot of time with people or whatever you want to kind of shift towards. And we'll talk about that a little bit more when we talk about planning for next year too. The main point, I guess, we want to stress on this is you really do want to avoid getting into debt for the holidays. It can be really tempting, but it can be sort of this vicious cycle, and then you have trouble saving for other things that you need. So, given that, maybe not going to spend as much this year as you did last year, but how do you still create some lasting memories? And there are lots of ways to make the holidays meaningful without maybe spending quite as much, or being, you know, putting as much toward like gift giving, for instance. One of the things we also suggest, besides giving cash or gift cards, is think about giving experiences. And these can be experiences that you share with somebody. This can be a great way to create lasting memories during the holiday season, but also kind of throughout the year. Like my boyfriend and I, we often give each other, you know, something like, oh, tickets to a play that's going to be in March, or a concert or something. And then we know that's something that's already paid for that we're going to do later in the year. And it's going to be really fun. It's something to look forward to. One year we went on a cruise with family, and my boyfriend just gave me a little, like a little squishy cruise ship. And it was in my stocking, but that was like my big gift because we knew later in the year, he was paying for a big part of our cruise. So, you know, you can do that as a family, decide we're giving ourselves our, you know, summer vacation or something that we're going to upgrade about that. But all of the things listed here, whether they be like sports tickets or concert or theater tickets, memberships, season tickets, they can be things that you plan to do with the person, or they can be things that you're just giving, you know, maybe you want to give to your, you know, son and daughter-in-law, something that they can do with their children, and you give them a membership to, um, you know, the science museum or something that can be a really special all year gift, or to the zoo that they use over and over and think of you. Amusement parks can be great for that too. If you're in Western Mass, maybe, you know, you want to think about like a Six Flags, or if you're in Northern Mass, maybe like Canopy Lake Park or something like that, season ticket or tickets to that. You can buy tickets often that can be used anytime. So you can look at those kind of things as well. And then we have lots of ideas for low cost traditions that might be um, new traditions for you, or just ones that you want to start doing more regularly with your family. And all of these are things that are really great memories, at least for my family, and that can be something that doesn't cost you a lot, but it's like a whole special day with, the gingerbread houses, particularly with kids. It can, you can buy a kit relatively inexpensively to do gingerbread houses. Um, when you're planning for next year, you can also ask people who have leftover Halloween candy for their candy for decorating the gingerbread houses. We did that several years and it was just really fun. And I do have friends who do um, like, they do every year they do a pumpkin carving for Halloween, and then they ask everyone on social media to vote on who's got the best pumpkin, and it's like a fun I mean, I don't even see these people very often, they're kind of friends of friends, but, everyone likes voting on these pumpkins, and it's a every year thing, and, so different things like that can kinda make it, special for your family. You might have a holiday movie night. Maybe your family always watches Elf every year together, and you do the pajamas and the hot chocolate and something where you look forward to it and you know that you're going to do it each year. Um, you may also consider volunteering with your family. It's a great time to give back to your community. Food for Free, which I mentioned earlier, we volunteer there packing groceries many times throughout the year at our employees at the credit union. You can sign up for volunteer shifts as an individual, and you can bring children over a certain age. I don't remember right off the top of my head, but I want to say it's either like middle school, junior high age children on up. I know I did it with my daughter. She came one time when she was home from college. And it's just a really nice way to give back. And the nice thing about Food for Free is it's also really fresh, good quality seasonal produce and food. And so that feels good that it's not, you're giving people something that we always like end up talking about the actual recipes and what we would make with this. And oh, look, there's this butternut squash and this really nice rosemary, and I would be making this casserole that au gratin casserole that I really like or whatever. So it can be really fun to do that together. You can also consider like a cookie baking day. Cookie baking does not have to be one person alone in the kitchen slaving away. It can be something that you do with your family, and that whether it be baking together, decorating the cookies. I have some friends who every year they deliver the cookies, and when they arrive, they sing a Christmas carol to us. And it's just a really fun like way to connect. And then we can have them in for, some tea or coffee or something, and or hot chocolate. And it's just a special memory that we have that is, it does cost money to bake cookies, especially if you're giving them away, but it's not as much as if you gave a big gift, however, and it also gives you the fun of having decorated together. Um, and then things like driving around to see the holiday lights places, or walking. My daughter, as I mentioned, is in college, but throughout her childhood, we live in Cambridge, Somerville area. There's lots of great light displays in our neighborhood. And for us, bundling up, putting on all our winter gear and walking was just a really nice way to connect, talk about what's going on in our lives, and also like look at the fun lights. So that can be a regular tradition, whether it be putting on your pajamas and getting in the car to go someplace where there's great lights, or walking around together and just having that time. We love like looking at the stars and seeing the lights, and some of them are fully they're just all varieties, I guess, in our neighborhood of different kinds of lights, and we really like that. So I recommend thinking now, because the holiday season goes by really quickly. So thinking now, what would be one thing I would like to try and create as a new tradition, and with whom, and make it so that the holidays meaningful to you and that you have some of those quiet times together or busy times, but you're doing something together. So think about that and remember that it's not always about spending money for the holidays to be special. So then we mentioned planning ahead for next year. So definitely something that we recommend for you is that you keep track of what you spent this year and did it seem like the right amount? And then start planning for next year. One way that you can start planning is obviously the budget. Like, okay, it seemed like this was the right amount, or maybe I needed more. I almost needed like $1,000 with travel costs and things like that. Then you divide that by your pay periods. You know, maybe most people get paid every other week and it's 26 pay periods a year. How much will you set aside for each pay period so that it's a much more reasonable expense? And then it can be like, oh, I save for this throughout the year. So then when it's time for my holidays, it doesn't surprise me. It's not really hard to come up with the money. So you can set a separate savings account at your bank or credit union that's for the holidays. Many have like a holiday savings club. We have one at the credit union where you put in, and literally you're not supposed to take the money out. It's like we hold it for you until a certain date, and then we disperse it in mid-November, I think, for the holidays. So you can look at those, or you can just set up your own separate account that you're naming for yourself that this is for the holidays, and I'm putting in a certain amount every year, every month, or every pay period. Um, so I can get to my goal. The other thing you can do is when you're having holiday gatherings this year, you can suggest different things that you could do for next year. My mom comes from a big family, and for a while, everyone was buying gifts for everyone, and it was extremely time consuming, but also really expensive. And then one year at the holidays, someone suggested, hey, let's draw names out of hat next year and we'll buy for one person. And they decided they want to keep giving. Everyone was still going to give to all the kids because that was important to them and they loved that part. But for the adults, they would draw one name. So you'd be buying for the kids in the family and then you'd be buying one other person's gift. So you can suggest things like that. You can suggest, hey, how about next year we just um, do things that we made ourselves or baked. You can call it a bake or make holiday instead of things that you have to buy. It's usually good to have those discussions now for next year and then kind of document it by sending an email so that even if people weren't there that they know. Because if you try and spring that on people now for this Christmas, for instance, or Hanukkah, if those are the holidays you celebrate, some people are gonna come back and say, "I already bought your gift," because 'cause they're a planner. Um, so you know your own family and whether that could work, you know, you could even suggest it for this year, but a lot of times what you're gonna hear back is some people are gonna have been stashing things away all year. But you could suggest it for the following year. Um, how about instead of buying a gift that we all agree that we're gonna go to a special event together? Or we're going to go for a special holiday meal together at a restaurant and spend the money that way. So, kind of thinking about whether you want to redirect your money within your family and whether you want to talk with them about doing that. That could be a great way to set yourself up for next year. If you're going to be doing the savings account, we definitely encourage you to do an auto deposit there. Um, you do want to be buying your plane or train tickets as far ahead as you can. And I know this is not always possible for a variety of reasons. Maybe your work schedule, you need to wait until you know something about that. I know with my kid coming home from college, sometimes we can get the bus ticket. And sometimes it just doesn't end up working out because she needs to know certain things about her labs and her exams before we can actually schedule it. Sometimes by the time we know when she can leave, it's sold out because they only have a few buses back from where she is. So, you know, as best as you can, if you can plan ahead for travel, you are going to find the tickets are a lot cheaper ahead of time. And the more flexible you are, obviously, the more you'll be able to get good deals. Because the other thing that does happen is sometimes I buy tickets, 6 months or 8 months ahead of something. Often the airlines will change the time on you during the year. They'll like say, "Oh, well, you know, your flight has now been rescheduled for this just happened to me. My flight is now an hour earlier, which is fine, to somewhere I'm going." So you do need to be a little bit flexible if you're planning ahead like that. So if you have any questions, you can go ahead and pop them into the Q&A. If not, there are a couple of suggestions I definitely want to leave you with, or resources. Um, One of them is GreenPath. So you do not need to be a credit union member to use GreenPath. If you go through this link that I'm going to also put this into the chat, if you go through the link on our website to get there, GreenPath is a nonprofit financial wellness organization, and they offer free counseling for credit, like improving your credit, budgeting. It could be budgeting for the holiday or budgeting generally. Maybe you don't have a budget and you're like, Jen, you've been talking all this time about budgeting, and I don't even know what my general budget is. So if that's the case and you feel like you need help with that, GreenPath is a great resource. They can help you with student loan repayment counseling. They have certified student loan counselors, as well as HUD certified housing counselors for all the financial things that can come up related to housing. So GreenPath is a great resource. I just want to grab that link and put it into the chat. It's here. And again, you do not need to be a credit union member to use GreenPath. And you also, you can share that link with your family or friends, so they don't have to have been at this webinar to use this link. So if you know someone who's struggling, particularly someone who's struggling with debt, you do not have to struggle with debt alone. You can get help. You can get individual free confidential counseling through GreenPath. It is available in multiple languages. So we want you to know that you can take advantage of that, and that is here for you. So I did put it in the chat, so you can grab that link if you like. And then, as I mentioned, we would love to have your feedback on how we did. I'm going to put the survey link. You should also get this by email. You're going to get the recording sent to you, which is going to be posted on our YouTube. And you should get the survey link sent to you, but I did put it in the chat, so in case you want to grab that. On our website, we have a page called Thrive. If you go onto our website, there's a tab that says Learn. And when you go into Learn, you will find our Thrive page, which is to help you thrive financially, have financial wellness, to have confidence in your finances and what you need and how you can get there. That also has the links to GreenPath there. It has a blog that we have with lots of posts on all kinds of topics. There's free workshops available there. I do want to point out that we have a workshop on Wednesday coming up on saving for retirement. And if you would like to join us for that, again, you can get there through that Thrive link, or I also just put our workshop link directly into the chat. So that is there for you as well. And if you are trying to figure out how to save for retirement, how to start off 2025 in a great way for setting you up for retirement, please join us for that. It will be a great session with our investing advisor, Rajban Shali. I promised I would give you my email. This is my email address. If you have any questions, we are harvardfcu.org as our website, and we're Harvard FCU on all the social channels now. Some of you may remember or know us by our old name. We used to be the Harvard University Employees Credit Union, just up until earlier this year. We changed our name to Harvard Federal Credit Union. It's partly to just let people know you don't have to be a Harvard employee to join. We're open to students, alumni, faculty, staff of Harvard, of course. and we're also open to anyone who works at or is retired from the teaching hospitals, such as MGB. And so it is open to a lot more people, and there are other ways for some people to join as well. So we want people to know that we're here for you. So we did change our name to Harvard FCU. And let's see, I think that is everything I wanted to cover. Sorry. Yes, and I'm looking, if you have any questions, you can drop them into the chat. I'm not seeing any right now, but I'm delighted that you could join us and take this time out of your day to think about your holidays. I hope that whatever holidays that you celebrate are really meaningful and lovely for you this year. I know in my house we celebrate both Christmas and Hanukkah, so it's a really busy time and a lot of gift giving expectations, but we have over time and good conversations been able to get to a point where all of that is within our budget and the gift giving is at the appropriate scale for us. And I hope that you can get to a place where you feel the same and that you feel confident about your finances and how to approach the holidays. Thank you, everybody, and enjoy the rest of your day. I am not seeing any further questions, so thank you. I'm going to sign off and do take a look at those resources that we provided for you and hope that you can take advantage of them. Okay, bye.